Welcome to Fuego J Recap. Watch out, and take care. The movie begins inside a train heading to Istanbul. We focus on a Muslim man with a long beard and cap. He seems to be engrossed in a book, but in reality, he is keeping an eye on a family of 3. The family consists of father, mother, and a young daughter. The Muslim man is actually Robert McCall, who has disguised himself as a local. As the father gets up to go into the dining car, Robert goes on to him. He strikes a conversation with the man, who asks him his purpose for coming to the country. Robert answers that he's here looking for a Turkish man, who married an American woman and had a daughter with her. He was an abusive man who forcefully brought the daughter to Turkey with him. Hearing this, the man knows that Robert is talking about him, and slowly gets up. As he leaves the car, he gestures to a man to take care of Robert. Apparently he had his entourage with him, who attack Robert, but it does not really turn out to be the best idea, as Robert is a skilled former Marine, and has no trouble taking care of them, and soon after goes to sit opposite the Turkish man. As he fixes his sleeves, he asks the man to choose either the usual pain, or the excruciating kind. The scene then fades to black, and we now see Robert driving a black car in a city, working as a Lyft driver. He waits outside a building to pick up his passenger Sam. Sam is an old man, who is in the middle of a case to try and locate his long-lost sister. Robert happens to be a very chatty person. He often interacts with some of his passengers, while observing others. We also see Grace, the mother of the girl Robert rescued from the train, going into the office of her lawyer. There, she sees her daughter safe and unharmed. The mother and daughter embrace each other, crying. All this has been possible because of Robert, and they are grateful to him. Meanwhile, somewhere in Brussels, a man called Calbert returns home. As he takes off his coat and walks into the dining room, hoping to greet his wife, he is shocked to find her sitting there and crying. The poor woman's face is covered with blood and bruises. Before Calbert can react, 3 men emerge, and one of them shoots his wife in the head in front of him. They then force Calbert to sit, and put the barrel of a gun into his mouth. They pull the trigger. We then turn back to Robert, who continues his job as a Lyft driver. He arrives for his latest ride, as a man helps a woman into Robert's cab. She seems to be in a lot of pain, but Robert doesn't say anything. She has possibly been drugged and raped. After a while, Robert rings the bell of the same man's apartment, and informs him that he took the woman to the hospital, where they found multiple injuries on her. After telling them to do the right thing, the man tries to hit Robert, but he uses the guy's card to cut him, before breaking his and his buddy's bones. By now, we know that Robert is not the man to mess with. He breaks his opponent's bones in the blink of an eye, as all this is done in not more than 30 seconds. Robert has been trained in combat, and is nowhere near normal when it comes to fighting. Robert then returns home, where he finds old friend and colleague, Susan, waiting for him. He is surprised to see her there, and he gladly welcomes her. They catch up over dinner. She tells Robert that she is currently working on a murder case of a husband and wife in Brussels, with her partner Dave. We also find out that it is his wife's birthday, something which he had forgotten, but as a good friend, she suggests to him to go out more and find someone. The next day, we see Susan meet up with Dave, as they discuss the Brussels murder, before flying out to the location. They visit the crime scene together, and later we see Susan going to her hotel room. There she is attacked from behind by 2 men, and she does her best to fight them off, before they corner her in the bedroom. We see Robert talking with Miles Whitaker, a young kid, who is offered to repaint the vandalized garden of Robert's neighbor. Robert gets a call from Brian, Susan's husband, who informs Robert about Susan's murder. McCall flies out to Washington for the funeral, and later starts to investigate Susan's death, by reviewing camera footage from the hotel, as well as crime scene photos. The 2 men who killed Susan are seen having fun when a cell phone rings, and as they pick it up, a bomb goes off in their apartment. We see that the person who orchestrated the blast is one of the 3 men who killed the couple in Belgium earlier. Meanwhile, Robert has been investigating Susan's murder by studying the CCTV footage from the hotel. He meets up with Dave to discuss, and shares that he believes Susan's murder was planned. He then begins to study the case that Susan had been working on before being killed, in order to determine if she was killed in relation to that case. We see the way his mind works, as he imagines himself at the scene of the crime, working out what could have happened. He then calls Dave, to update him that the person who committed the Belgium murders and Susan's murder are both left-handed. Later on, as Robert is driving a passenger, he notices that his passenger is behaving strangely. And sure enough, the man pulls a knife and is about to stab Robert, as Robert starts to swerve the car. He manages to hit the man in the face, and soon shoots him dead, all while driving the car. He blows up his car and the man inside to get rid of the evidence, but he makes sure to take the man's phone. The next day, he visits Dave at his house to tell him everything that had happened. He says that the man sent to kill him yesterday was sent by the same person who is behind the Belgium murders along with Susan's. He places the newfound cell phone in front of Dave and calls the number he found in it. Dave's own phone starts to ring, revealing him to be the one behind all the killings. Robert had figured this out beforehand, of course, but wanted to give Dave a chance to explain himself. Dave admits to all the murders, saying that he became a mercenary after feeling used by the government, and had to kill Susan, because she would have figured out that it was him behind the Belgium murders. He then takes Robert to meet Rennick, Ari and Kovac, the three men who do the actual killing. They were taught by Robert himself when they were in the CIA. Meeting them, Robert promises that he will take his revenge on them for what they did to Susan. One day, Dave and his three friends head over to Brian's house to kill him too, but they don't find him there. Robert had foreseen this happening, and had driven Brian away to a safe house. Angered, the men then drive over to Robert's house, where Miles is painting the walls in Robert's house. He senses that something is up, and immediately contacts Robert. Robert turns on the feed from his surveillance cameras, and guides Miles to hide in a secret room. Miles can see Dave from the two-way mirror. Dave is suspicious about the mirror, and is about to shoot at it, when Robert calls to tell him that he is at a place both of them know about. Dave and his men leave, and Miles gets out from his hiding place, thinking that they have left, but they corner Miles and hold him at gunpoint. Robert drives to a town where he used to previously live in. The town is being evacuated as a storm is about to hit it. Dave and his friends arrive, and forcefully gain entry into the town, killing a policeman. They make their way to Robert's old house, and scan the entire property to find him, but he is nowhere to be seen. They then scour the surrounding neighborhood, but come up empty-handed. Dave decides to station himself on a tower, to get a better view and to be able to monitor the three other men, as they split up to find the ex-Marine. Robert's experience and skill are unmatched, and far exceeds their own combined experience. He has set traps for them that they walk blindly into. Kovac goes into a shop, where he thinks he spots Robert, only for Robert to shoot a harpoon through his head. Ari then goes after him, but Robert catches him first, and slices him up and down his whole body. Resnick follows Robert into another shop, and he gets blown up in a flower explosion. Finally, it is only Dave who is left. He is still atop the tower, looking through a sniper rifle. He manages to contact Robert, and informs him that Miles is stowed away in the trunk of a car, and he'll shoot him if Robert doesn't surrender himself to him. Dave fires a few shots, but Robert doesn't emerge. Just as he shoots the car Miles is tied up in, Robert shoots the tire, so that Dave will miss his shot. As Dave frantically looks around for Robert, he turns to find him on the tower, and they get into a fight. Dave attempts to stab Robert, but Robert is too fast for him, making him miss. He gouges Dave's eye out, grabbing his knife and stabbing him in the abdomen, and then he slices Dave's neck from the back, throwing him off the tower, where he smashes against the rocks, and swept up by the ocean. Robert then immediately goes to find Miles, who is shuddering in pain having been shot in the leg. He takes the poor kid into his old house to look after his wound, and we see him looking at his dead wife Vivian's picture in a frame. As the movie wraps up, we see Miles on a bus, headed off to art school, where a girl approaches him and they get to talk. Fatima, Robert's neighbor, comes to find the wall painting with a scene that reminds her of her country. On the opposite wall is written, "I leave you with the best of myself." Sam is seen being reunited with his sister Magda. After Robert pulled a few strings, Susan had also found some clues that helped Robert reunite Magda and Sam. Having moved back into his old house, Robert looks out towards the calm sea. The end. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this.